Hi, good morning, everyone. Sorry for the interruption in the network. Um, I want to quickly proceed with my opening address for this 2020 Nigeria Innovation Summit. The Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Issa Pantami, who is represented today by the Director General of NIDA, Kashifu Inua Abdullahi, the Executive Vice Chairman and CEO of Nigeria Communications Commission, Professor Omar Gao Badambata, distinguished speakers, panelists, the media, and participants joining us across different platforms and from all over the world. On behalf of Innovation Hub Africa, the can you hear me, Tony? Businesses, organizations within and outside the country to share ideas, strengths, and opportunity around technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship development in Nigeria. The summit supports and promotes the need for Nigeria to use innovation to drive high economic growth. As an organization, we have decided to contribute our quota in creating this forum that helps to increase awareness around technology and innovation across Nigeria during the Nigeria Innovation Week. The challenges of the time are such that nations, organizations, businesses, and individuals must use digital technologies in one way or the other. It is no longer an option, but a necessity. Africa, as you can see, and indeed Nigeria, cannot well compete globally in terms of technology and innovation because we missed out during the three industrial revolutions that ushered in steam engines, age of science and mass production, and the rise of digital technology, which are the foundation of the fourth industrial revolution. The fourth industrial revolution is ushering in new technical intelligence, FG network, blockchain, robotics, genomics, precision medicine, electric vehicles, and autonomous driving, Internet of Things, virtual and augmented reality, etc. These new technologies are impacting global economies. The opportunities around them give birth to new business models like the sharing economy, disruptive ideas creating enormous wealth for organizations, businesses, entrepreneurs, and the nations who understand the times and invest heavily in them. They build unprecedented economic power as the strength of nations do not lie solely in their size or landmass, but by their level of technology and innovation. So it becomes very critical as a nation for us to position ourselves to these realities and leapfrog our development. We need to also position institutions and agencies of the government with this knowledge of the times so that research that will encourage and support small businesses and startups as they are the engines that will make digital transformation possible in Nigeria. I will also give you an instance here. When we talk about e-commerce in the United States, it's what is today, with companies like Amazon emerging because of the support and the backbone of the United States Postal Services, upon which they grow. So the impact of that one agency in driving e-commerce in the United States is worthy of note. And our NIPOS can also be positioned to be the background, to be the backbone and support of e-commerce in Nigeria. Having said that, I'll commend the effort of the government through the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy for realizing the importance and need for digital transformation in the country, thereby developing the national digital economic policy and strategy to reposition the Nigerian economy in order to take advantage of the opportunities that emerging technologies provide. This is a step in the right direction. As the theme of this year's summit is innovating in critical times, we've brought together experts from different sectors and from different countries around the world. They will help us through their keynotes, presentations, and panel discussions to understand how we can leverage the emerging technologies to innovate and solve our challenging problems during these critical times. In conclusion, we want to thank the Honorable Minister for being part of this year's summit. We appreciate the partnership and support from the Nigerian Communications Commission under the leadership of Professor Dambata. We also want to use this time to appreciate Zoho Corporation for finding it worthy to support and being a sponsor at this year's summit. The support of my team and distinguished speakers and our partners are greatly appreciated. Despite the challenges, we encourage everyone to leverage the digital tools we have available to make the virtual experience of this summit a great one. Once again, I welcome you and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, my name is Kashif Inualai, not Hadiza Umar. Yeah, Kashif Inu Abdullahi. My elder brother, the EVC NCC, the CEO of Vision Hub Africa, Mr. Kenneth Omero, distinguished guests and participants. May peace, mercy, and blessing be upon you all and day. It is exhilarating to represent my mentor and my boss, the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, who until late last week had a plan to deliver his keynote in person, but he had to direct to represent him because he is currently attending the Joint Executive Legislative Leadership Retreat, which was declared open by President Muhammadu Buhari GCFR yesterday. The theme of this year's summit is exciting, innovating in critical time, because never before has innovation been more critical as it is now. COVID-19 pandemic has forced you and me to embrace new practices such as social distancing and remote everything. The new practices, or new norm as we call it, is making innovation to have a profound influence on our exit strategy from pandemic. I will never forget the first time I met Gary Shapiro, the president of the Consumer Technology Association, in January 2019 at his club stand during Consumer Electronics shows in Las Vegas, the United States of America. The Honorable Minister of Communications and I visited his stand to buy some of his selling books. As we entered the stand, a book called Ninja Future, Secret of Success in the World of Innovation, grabbed the attention of the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy. The minister picked the book immediately, and it is the minister's habit to glance through a book before he buys. The Honorable Minister opened the preface page, and the first paragraph reads, "The world we live in today is unrecognizable to that of just 20 years ago. Nothing is ever static in this world. We can never tell where we will be in 5 years." I wrote these words in my 2010 book, Ninja Innovation, the 10 key strategies of the world's most successful businesses. The Honorable Minister was excited with the phrase Ninja Innovation. He therefore asked Gary Shapiro, the author of the book, "Mr. Shapiro, what does this phrase mean?" Gary replied, "The Honorable Minister, I coined the phrase Ninja Innovation to describe the people and organizations that demonstrate the attributes of ancient ninjas, Japanese warriors who survived battles against extraordinary odds. They triumphed over adversaries using skills and surprise, despite often being outgunned and outmanned by fierce competition or hostile conditions." Shapiro said, "Part of my personal and business lexicon is challenge myself and others to think like a ninja. Ninja the unexpected, and in so doing produce value. That value can be survival, a successful product launch, or agreement on a deal. It can mean greater revenue, lower cost, increased efficiency, better results, or happier customers. Of it means connecting the dot among different areas of knowledge. It can mean almost everything, but it always requires creative thinking." The Honorable Minister moved to the second catchy phrase on the second page of the first: "Innovate or die." Shapiro said to the Honorable Minister, "Dr. Ila, this phrase, innovate or die, is a mandate not just for business, but also for humanity." He said, "I passionately believe our survival, past, present, and future, is due to our unique ability to innovate. We are different from other species in our ability to cause our destination and our ability to change course and ensure that we continue to thrive. Shapiro continued in some ways. The future looks like a bit grim. We face significant threats now and in the not too distant future. Diseases, nuclear weapons, climate change, social upheaval, war, and natural disaster loom large. Successfully navigating these complexities will require all citizens and companies become ninja innovators. Ninja innovators are not limited to the tech industry, though, of course, my force will be there. Ninja innovators can be found in schools, hostels, stores, private companies, and government agencies. Today, it is obvious we are in a critical time. We are confronted with a crisis like no other, a true crisis that you and I not seen in living memory. It is the worst health and economic situation of a generation. World Bank predicted that COVID-19 would plunge the global economy into the worst recession since World War II. It is also a learning crisis because of two reasons. Firstly, by the end of March this year, more than 1.5 billion students were out of schools. And secondly, the COVID-19 has forced you and I to embrace a way of life. We have to learn, we have to unlearn the way we do things and relearn the new way we do things. And secondly, because of the pandemic and the way changed the way we do things, it's accelerating the way we embrace new technologies. This has caused to find a way we navigate through this pandemic. In Nigeria, we are lucky to have the right leadership at the right time. The government, under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, has set the foundation to innovate even before COVID-19. Permit me to remind you that on 23rd October 2019, the President renamed and expanded our ministry mandate to our digital economy. On 28 November 2019, the President launched the National Digital Economy Policy for Digital Nigeria. And he directed our minister, Dr. Isa Ali Ibrahim Pantami, to start implementation immediately. On 19th March 2020, just before the lockdown, President launched the broadband plan and unveiled Digital Nigeria initiatives, as well as he flagged off digital skills and literacy training. I wish you could have been there in the Honorable Minister's office when he was holding meeting with us, CEOs under his supervision. The Honorable Minister set ambitious goals for us to execute before the end of this year. We sprang into action immediately, creating strategies and conceptualizing initiatives as the future looks bright at the beginning of the year 2020. COVID-19 hit unexpectedly and disrupted plans, turned things upside down, and federal government locked down Abuja and Lagos. Was panicked and started wondering whether the world is coming to an end, because I never saw anything like COVID-19 in my life. I ran to the Honorable Minister of Health. He said to me, Kashif, calm down. This is not the first time humanity is tested with a pandemic. The Black Plague, influenza, and Spanish flu had a higher mortality rate than COVID-19. He was a secure base for me, and his mentorship gave me a sense of stability. And let me believe that the world is not coming to an end soon. I then asked him, what about targets? He said to me, let us find a workaround. We need to innovate or die. He motivated me, inspired me, and taught me how to innovate in a critical time. As a ministry, we blazed the trail in the remote work and set the pace for innovation in this country during the pandemic. We conceptualized and implemented groundbreaking initiatives under the down. Here we are today as a ministry coming through the pandemic in a fine style. The minister directed me to set a 10-man committee from the innovation ecosystem to achieve 3 objectives. Firstly, to identify innovative solutions to abate the pandemic that can help us contain the spread. Secondly, to propose enabling policies and incentives to cushion the impact of the pandemic in and after the pandemic. Lastly, but not the least, to build massive digital skills to reskill and prepare our citizens for the future work in the post-COVID era. We have achieved almost all the objectives. We collaborated with ecosystem to host the COVID-19 Innovation Challenge, where innovators were invited to showcase their ideas to manage COVID-19. The winners get prizes and funding that help them turn the ideas into impact. We handheld them to develop working products and services. Some exciting innovation from competition are an indigenous ventilator currently being tested on animal, a smart decontamination chamber, which is an intelligent tunnel that can be used to disinfect a person entering a location, and a MyClinic app, an online platform that enables users to hold video consultation with qualified medical doctor from anywhere and at any time, either using its mobile app or via toll-free line. On the challenge demo day, the Honorable Minister directed all agencies under supervision to set up innovation fund to consolidate on the achievement. I think this has addressed the CEO, Mr. Kenneth's concern on funding. The ministry and media have launched separate virtual learning platforms, the Digital Nigeria Portal and NIDA Academy, fill the skills gaps. So far, more than 60,000 million Nigerians have built different capacity in that area. This initiative set the foundation that helps us as a country to innovate and navigate our ways from crisis mode to the recovery stage. The ministry and NIDA, we started groundbreaking initiatives that will be game changer in the innovation ecosystem. Firstly, we are coordinating the activity of Abuja MIT REAP initiative. The MIT REAP means Regional Entrepreneurship Acceleration Program, a global capstone initiative which helps regions identify and accelerate economic growth and promote social progress through innovation-driven entrepreneurship. Secondly, we have launched Technology Innovation and Entrepreneurship Scheme. The minister directed that all agencies on his supervision to come up with a fund that can help to mentor and support staffs from ideation to market. And thirdly, the Honorable Minister has directed us to work with the innovation ecosystem to develop a draft digital innovation and entrepreneurship policy, which I strongly believe that if implemented, these groundbreaking initiatives will accelerate innovation in Nigeria and help startups, small businesses, governments, private organizations in Nigeria to become more innovative. Therefore, I invite you to support the government's initiatives in Make Nigeria innovation-driven country to give the best is yet to. Thank you for attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Ikechukwu Adinde. I am the Director of Public Affairs of the Nigerian Communications Commission. I want to begin by apologizing that the Vice Chairman, NCC, Professor Maru Garba-Dambata, is unable to attend this event due to the same reason for which the minister is not here. Over the weekend, an abrupt invitation came from the ruler that he had to attend the retreat. Otherwise, he had prepared to be at this event. And so I present this keynote speech on his behalf. The Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Dr. Isa Ibrahim Ali Pantami, representatives of government agencies, delegates from universities and research institutes, technical entrepreneurs in attendance, representatives of international organizations, representatives of non-governmental organizations, eminent speakers and panelists at this auspicious event, media representatives, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted and honored to be invited to deliver the keynote address to set the tone for discussions at this occasion of the virtual 2020 Nigeria Innovation Week. I must commend the organizers of this very timely event for their innovation and quest to ensure the economy receives maximum support from all stakeholders following the outbreak of the coronavirus disease, COVID-19. This innovative tech forum is another avenue for us at the Commission to intimate the general public and the tech ecosystem about NCC's plans for rebooting the economy following disruptions occasioned by the global COVID-19 pandemic. If I may recall, the first human cases of COVID-19 were initially reported in Wuhan City, China in December 2019, and subsequently, the Nigerian government, through the Federal Ministry of Health, confirmed its first positive case of COVID-19 in Lagos on February 27, 2020. Since then, the federal government, through a coordinated action plan involving the state governments and the organized private sector, has responded vigorously to contain the impact of the pandemic. I consider the theme of the 2020 Nigeria Innovation Week, Innovating in Critical Times, very relevant in view of the numerous challenges that the pandemic has thrown at national governments, the ICT community, and the health sector in particular. The COVID-19 global pandemic ripped through world economies like a wild bushfire, incapacitating local businesses, upsetting the workforce, and rendering governments numb in the face of the outbreak. It is a well-known fact that nations that plan to succeed must have well-articulated policies in place to ensure that the safety and security of their citizens are guaranteed. However, the COVID-19 pandemic has exposed the frailties of even the most advanced nations of the world. At the Nigerian Communications Commission, we are driven by the vision to build a telecommunications market that is defined by universal access to affordable and equitable service. And that is why, as the Executive Vice Chairman of the NCC, I introduced the ICT industry to my strategic vision plan, the 8-point agenda, upon assumption of office in August 2015, which focused primarily on facilitating broadband penetration, improving quality of service, optimizing usage and benefits of spectrum, promoting ICT innovation and investment opportunities, facilitating strategic collaboration and partnerships, protecting and empowering consumers, promoting fair competition and inclusive growth, ensuring regulatory excellence and operational efficiency. The driving force behind the 8-point agenda was to prepare the industry for uncertainties and challenges that lay ahead, considering the disruptions caused by evolving technologies. This is to ensure that the sector continues to play its vital role as the enabler of the nation's economic growth. The Commission, in continuing with its long-standing tradition of being proactive in its regulatory approach, introduced policies and initiatives aimed at promoting the provision of efficient, available, affordable, and easily accessible communication services throughout Nigeria. A proactive step taken by the Commission was the partnerships with the necessary stakeholders across the three tiers of government to collectively address challenges such as vandalism, multiple taxation and regulation, high cost of right-of-way, among others, which have been impeding speedy infrastructure deployment across the country. For innovation to thrive as the anchor for accelerating economic growth post-COVID-19 pandemic, a robust broadband infrastructure upon which ICT innovations will ride is a necessity, and an urgent one at that. During my first term in office, we placed emphasis on broadband to drive innovation and hopes to take broadband penetration to 70% by 2025, in line with the new target in the Nigerian National Broadband Plan 2020 to 2025. Through effective regulatory efforts, the NCC has been able to deepen connectivity in the country, as indicated by recent industry statistics. Under my stewardship at the Commission, we realized that infrastructure gaps existed around the country, impairing network performance and leading to poor quality of service. With the steady increase in telecom subscribers, the Commission decided that a robust telecom ICT infrastructure was needed to meet the growing demands for improved quality of service. It therefore became imperative for us at the Commission to introduce drastic measures at ensuring Nigerians receive value for money. We intensified our focus on the established key performance indicators for quality of service by instituting a regime of rigorous and continuous monitoring of the networks to ensure that they operate in tandem with set parameters. In the long term, the Commission's initiative to license infrastructure companies, InfraCos, to bridge existing gaps will further improve not only broadband penetration, but the quality of broadband experience across the country. Today, we have 6 licensed InfraCos, 1 in each of the geopolitical zones of the country, with Lagos State receiving special status because of its commercial centrality to the country. The 7th license for the North Central region is being processed. On the InfraCos, the Commission is in the process of finalizing the 6th InfraCo counterpart funding agreements to galvanize full rollout of broadband infrastructure on an open access model, which is aimed at enhancing digital transformation. And this will ensure that there is point of access in each of the 774 local governments in the country. The result of this initiative is that, apart from meeting and surpassing the 30% broadband penetration target, which was set in December 2018, in line with the National Broadband Plan 2013 to 2018, NCC increased broadband penetration from less than 6% in 2015 to 43.3% by August 2020. This new broadband attainment translates to 82,653,247 broadband subscriptions in the country as of August 2020. These measures have been very instrumental to the emergence and survival of SMEs that have had to ride on the backbone of telecoms infrastructure during this prevailing COVID-19 pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all witnesses to disruptions caused by the pandemic to the global economy, and it is noteworthy to emphasize the importance that ICT plays and has been playing since the outbreak. Many of us have been forced to work from home. Government services have been moved to online portals. Our kids now attend virtual classes. Lectures and conferences such as this one are now taking place virtually. E-commerce has gained significant uptake and boom globally. Online payment for goods and services have increased threefold. Logistics and delivery businesses have seen a huge upsurge in demand for their services, all because of the pandemic. Their both services require fast broadband and reliable means of connectivity, and the NCC has continued to work assiduously with our stakeholders and industry players in particular in ensuring that the nation's ICT infrastructure is able to meet with the ever-increasing demand for connectivity. The recent experience with the COVID-19 pandemic underscores the need to continue to invest in research and innovation in order to find lasting solutions to current and emerging problems. It is in this spirit that the Commission has been supporting research efforts in our tertiary institutions. Till date, the Commission has awarded the sum of 345.4 million as research grants to the academia and as endowment of professorial chairs in 2 Nigerian universities to drive innovation through promoting local content development in the telecoms sector. We have also empowered Nigerian youths by promoting their ingenuity and innovation on developing locally relevant technology solutions. We then say that we were part of the effort as directed by the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy to find solutions to the local solutions to the COVID-19 pandemic. And in that regard, the latest that the NCC did was the organization of a virtual hackathon where we gave out a total sum of 9 million naira in grants to 3 top tech startups with the most promising innovative solutions for COVID-19. As important as all these are, there are questions about the safety of our cyberspace. And so I'll briefly turn attention to the issue of online safety and security. With the preponderance of activities now happening online, the vulnerabilities of cyberspace have increased significantly. It is instructive to note that NCC adheres strictly with ITU guidelines for the global telecoms industry. We have officials at the Commission tasked with monitoring global trends to ensure that NCC is abreast of the changes and the emergence of new technologies with the attendant security and safety issues. The Commission placed emphasis on growing the digital economy in collaboration with sister agencies under the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. Just a while ago, we listened to the DG of NIDA, Malam Kashifi Inua Ibrahim, talk about some of the things that we're doing together as sister agencies within the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. Recognizing the need to entrench digital economy thinking in its operational activity, the Commission recently created a digital economy department dedicated to the implementation of programs and policies aimed at fully supporting and promoting the national digital economy agenda of the federal government. With the advent of COVID-19, ICT has become the major backbone for government activities and local businesses. The redirection of human traffic to online portals for major transactions as a result of social distancing also meant that cyber criminals have a larger audience and a much bigger playground to execute their nefarious activities. Working with the CBN and other major financial institutions in the country and security agencies, we have diligently ensured that Nigeria's cyberspace is secure. NCC has been the major linkage in the drive for optimum economic development as it remains the pioneer of the major disruptions that will drive the nation's economic reboot, especially the financial systems riding on electronic transactions. These innovations are driven by availability of a robust communications infrastructure made possible by the Commission's continuous quest for investment in the sector. Collaborative partnerships between the NCC are effective, leading to the development of various brands of electronic transaction models. which have totally reformed banking in Nigeria, making it possible for instant cash transfers to folks in rural areas, cutting out time wasting in banking halls, and simply simplifying online transactions. Between 2015 and 2020, ladies and gentlemen, much has been done to put Nigeria on the global map of nations that are electronically driven while delivering financial intermediation. So much credit must be given to the tech community for the various innovations that have been unleashed in the market to drive the delivery of efficient financial services to Nigerians. Together with our stakeholders from the banking sector, the NCC is actively involved in the application of various electronic portals that continue to drive transactions off banking floor onto handheld devices or personal computers. The NCC, through its interventions, has continued to lift the Nigerian economy and create momentum and hope for financial inclusion based on the seamless implementation of the Commission's strategic vision plan. It is pertinent at this juncture to note that NCC's Emergency Communication Center have been crucial in the federal government's fight against COVID-19 pandemic. Over the period, more than 1,219 COVID-19 related calls were made through these centers. The establishment of the ECCs by the Commission across the nation was born out of the need to safeguard all Nigerians irrespective of their geographical locations. The Nigerian government, through the Federal Minister of Health, has also been putting measures in place to ensure that the coronavirus disease is controlled and quickly contained. Nigeria's multi-sectoral preparedness group led to the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, activating its National Emergency Center and swiftly swinging into action with state governments to contain the spread of the outbreak around the country. There are lessons to be learned from the current pandemic, the most important of which is the need to continue to invest in infrastructure development in critical sectors of the economy, particularly the ICT sector, which has become the bastion of modern economies. We hope to reap the rewards of the NCC's strategic vision plan in the coming years and provide Nigerians the comfort of new innovations and new ways of living. This would imply that broadband penetration would be improved significantly through Commission to facilitate investment in fiber infrastructure. Quality of service would also be assured. Available spectrum would also be optimized with full benefits, and there would be more investments in the industry. There will also be access to strategic collaboration and partnerships, especially with the tech ecosystem and the tech economy. Consumers would also be fully protected and empowered, and there will be fair competition and inclusive growth as drivers of the economy. The socioeconomic benefits of the expansion in telecommunications infrastructure embarked upon by the Commission would be of immense benefit to the country, especially the rollout of the 5G technology, which currently is being test run in about 40 countries of the world. The 5G technology will be a significant upgrade for networks and will be the backbone for the future ICT industry post-pandemic recovery. Nigeria is exploring the benefits of deploying 5G technology as well as any, and once the coast is clear, a massive campaign will begin to enlighten Nigerians on the immense benefits that will be attained through 5G technology. I wish you very fruitful deliberations and thank you for listening.
economy for a digital Nigeria that will improve the way Nigerians live and work. In view of the successful completion of the trial and a directive from the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, the Commission commenced the development of a policy for the deployment of 5G in Nigeria. The Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, Office of the National Security Advisor, National Assembly, Ministry of Health, National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency, Association of Licensed Telecommunications Operators of Nigeria are among the stakeholders that will make input into this policy. Details on NCC's website. 5G will not be deployed in Nigeria until the policy is concluded and approved. Dr. Ikechukwu Adinde, Director of Public Affairs, announcer.
He has a good job, long time. After I left.
Thank you very much. I was directing my comment to the leader speaker. I thank you very much. It was Professor did an excellent presentation. I was just wondering as he was speaking about the progress that has been made to digitize the government operations. Like there's a lot of talk about everybody else, but I think it's really important for the Nigerian government to digitize all the operations. And I wanted to know about the progress that's been made in that area.
When is from talk? I don't from.
When is doing something
ensuring digitized operations.
Hello, sir.
Mr. Ikechukwu Adebete.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I'm online. I'm online. I don't know if I can come on the floor now. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you very much. Yes, Tony, your question is very question. The federal government of Nigeria is committed to digitizing not just the general economy, but in particular the public sector where the government plays. And that is embedded within the overall framework of national policy strategy. I don't know, there's a lot of interference there. Can you hear me?
Will you subscribe to it?
Hello. The National Digital Economy Policy Strategy document of government clearly spells out the pathway for government for the digitization of government. A broad framework is included in the e-government policy of the government, which requires that government migrate from the traditional manual environment to digital platforms. And we're already beginning to see that happen in some of the agencies of Hello, can you hear what I'm saying? Can you hear me now? Hello? Hello, Tony, can you hear me, Tony? Very good. So I was making reference to.
We lost maybe the last 1 minute of your talking. That the microphone is muted.
Oh, very good. So I was making reference to the National Digital Economic Policy and Strategy document of the federal government, which the DG of NIDA referred to in his speech. This document was launched last year, and it has a broad roadmap for the digitization of the public sector. And we're already beginning to see the implementation of that with the Treasury Single Account, with the IPPIS system, with the Government Information and Financial Management System. And we also have seen that happening even with our passport processing system. And so over time, the expectation is that over time, that government services will be digitized across all platforms within the public sector. And it is happening, and it's happening quite fast.
Thank you very much for the answer. Based on the experience that we had here in Canada with the pandemic, we got caught. Like we're supposed to be a developing nation, and we got caught with this. So what we've done is we spent a significant amount of effort trying to digitize those parts of the government that deal with industry and deal with consumers first. So we didn't try to do everything. We just went and said, what is our interface with the people of Canada? And we put a tremendous amount of effort to be able to do that. I'm really glad that you're doing it. As you know, this costs money and time and energy. And our priorities has been, of course, let's make sure that the government and the private sector are working together. And for that, digitization is absolutely essential. So I commend for for what you're doing, and I found your talk very interesting. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Oh.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. Let me answer the second question very quickly. The operations of the NMIC, which is the Nigerian Identity Management Commission, has not been moved to NCC. Rather, it's been moved to the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. So all of us now are within the same federal ministry, being supervised by the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. So you have the NMIC now, just as the NCC, under the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. Well, the issue of data pricing is it's something that the NCC is very keen about, and if you check the history of NCC regulation of the sector, it has consistently done its pricing in such a way that consumers' interest is first, in line with its consumer-centric regulations. However, we must recognize that pricing of data is also a market-based factor. And so in the pricing of data, it's done in such a way that within the NCC Act too, it allows that the market should also determine a price that will not be such that it would not afford the industry to operate. Hello? Hello? Yes. Thank you.
May I ask another question now? May I ask another question? Sir, I was wondering with regards to, have you noticed major efficiencies occurring because of the pandemic? Like what we find here is that certain sectors have become a lot more effective, a lot more efficient because of the pandemic. Do you find that as well, or everything has been bad? Is there good stories to tell that have resulted because of our response to the pandemic?
Yes, I don't know if I'm taking the question or someone else is responding to that. Is it meant for me? Yes, I think that one of the good sides of this pandemic is a wake-up call to all Nigerians, and particularly certain sectors. One thing that has come out clearly is that the telecom sector has proved to be quite resilient in this pandemic. From the industry statistics available, the uptake of data because of the migration of services, mostly to online activities, has actually stretched that sector, and the sector has responded very favorably in terms of ensuring that Nigerians are able to enjoy the kind of services that we're enjoying currently. We are doing Zoom meetings, and all over the country during this period, most of these meetings have happened on Zoom, riding on the broadband networks that the telecom companies are providing. And that is something that I think it's a big plus for the economy, and the NCC is quite happy that the structure and the strength of the sector is such that it's able to respond so resiliently to this unexpected surge in demand, especially for online services that rely on telecom networks. So one sector that has gained efficiency significantly is the telecom sector. That is evident from empirical results that we have.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. In line with our mandate to promote and support innovative research in the ICT space, NCC is actually committed to ensuring that the sector continues to play that critical role through our program of supporting research institutions, universities, and tech startups with bright and brilliant ideas that can bring about innovative solutions to various sectors of the economy. And we've seen that in our recent hackathon events for this COVID-19, and it turned out to be quite impressive. And over the years, really, NCC has also sponsored young Nigerians, even international events, ITV events, where Nigerians with bright ideas, young Nigerians, some of you in this industry are aware of past efforts in promoting innovation in the ICT system, young people who go out of the country to compete. And we have in several cases won awards. So going forward in the future, because of the experience of the COVID-19, we're all alive to the fact that the way to go is to continue to support a sector and grow the sector, particularly the telecom sector, to support innovation, to ensure that the future services that we see that they can thrive and survive, because it's going to become the new norm for economic growth in the future. So the NCC is mindful of that, and like you saw in the EBC strategic action, vision plan, the most important element of that is ensuring that there is broadband penetration, that people have access, that is affordable and is accessible from every part of the country. And I think that is an important development that the NCC is very mindful about in terms of how it regulates the sector to see that it grows going forward. Well, increasingly, it has become clear that we must collaborate, we must support, we must play together with the tech industry in order to be able to leverage the skills, the knowledge base, and support the sector to do much more than they are doing. And that's why, as part of the vision, one of the vision elements of the EVC is strategic partnerships. It is a deliberate pillar in that vision plan, because it recognizes the importance of the private sector, it recognizes the importance of collaborations in terms of advancing new knowledge, advancing new innovations to support the tech ecosystem to be able to deliver new innovative services and solutions that will support the economy going forward. And so NCC is primed and ready, and will continue to do that in the future. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, but you've not actually the question that I've
I confirm I've got access. There we go. So good afternoon, everyone. Good morning here from Canada. My name is Eduardo Belletti, and I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Scale Camp, and I also teach technology entrepreneurship at Carleton University in the graduate program called the Technology Innovation Management Program. I'm delighted to be here and at the Nigeria Innovation Summit. And it's going to be called the Going Global in Critical Times. I'm going to have a bit of a different spin, I think, than what I was asked to do, but we'll hopefully work with it. But first, it is really my honor to be here speaking after the main our excellent keynote speakers. Thank you to them for some engaging presentations and to a thorough question period afterwards. So we're here to at the Nigeria Innovation Summit to foster innovation inside Nigeria. You may look at me and think he doesn't look like he's a Nigerian person, and you'd be right. I'm Canadian. So I'm going to bring a little bit of a different perspective, but I have been in Nigeria. I'm not coming from a place of complete ignorance. Been there for the last 2 years. I was supposed to be there this summer as well. And you know, I've tasted your jollof rice. I know the value of a good suya grill. But we understand that innovation wasn't just required because we're in critical times today. The innovation was required before the pandemic. It was a critical time even before 2020. We knew that we needed innovation, more innovation in Nigeria. We had to deal with the unemployment issues. And the environment is definitely a pressing issue in Nigeria as well. So I just wanted to point out that this is not just a priority for today, but this has been a priority that we're being building towards. And really the pandemic has exacerbated or laid bare the deficiencies in all countries about the system and where we need to go to be able to create the societies that we're hoping for in the future. To talk about going global, I wanted to introduce a little bit of the theory, and I'm going to frame it. I'm going to kind of take a step back, and I'm going to frame it from this perspective. In the academic literature that's been growing and growing for entrepreneurship, to the point that you can get a master's in entrepreneurship. We offer that at the program. I have one, where the resource view of entrepreneurship is that you have to be able to attract resources with the promise of future benefits, and then those resources need to be combined and assembled and deployed in a specific way that is able to create significant value. And that value is usually embodied in the value of a company or the profitability of that, but the value of the company really it is. So an entrepreneur is going to attract those resources. They're going to combine them in a special way that creates distinct benefits for a number of stakeholders, and then distribute the value that they've created to those resource owners that have given them those resources. And those resources can be talent and whatnot. So I wanted to take it from this sort of perspective to be able to frame the rest of my argument that I'm going to bring up to you today. There are the resources is what I want to focus on. And when I say resources, I wanted to make sure that we have a common frame of reference about what I mean for resources. Resources are inclusive of assets, processes, and priorities. And so really what the professor was saying ahead of me about leveraging the private sector and technology and strategic partnerships in the tech ecosystem, it is our ability to be able to recognize what resources exist and be able to combine those in a special way. So we have assets, we have processes, and we have priorities that are what I mean when I say resources. Hello, Umar. Can you mute your microphone? That'd be great. So the resources view is where I'm going to bring up my first belief about going global. And the first belief is that we have to not just think about what we have internally, but we have to be able to look at what we have externally. The resources that we can combine that are external to our control, if we can attract those and combine those with the ones we have internally, we can create significant value. And you can take this from the perspective of a company. You can take this perspective of a nation. We need to be able to leverage not just what we have, but what other people have to be able to create significant value for others. One of the biggest resources that you have internally in Nigeria is your youth. 62% of Nigeria is of the population is 24 or younger. Now that is the highest percentage of that population out of any country that has more than 200 million people in the world. And I've listed them here. We've got Pakistan has got 235 million people, and they've got 55%. India's got almost the same population as all of Africa. They've got 43%, but you have a distinct opportunity that you have a percentage of your population, a high percentage of your population that is 24 years old or younger. Just to give you a little bit of a frame of reference, Canada, we have 27%, and we only have 37 million people. So the number of youth we have is not very high, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. To frame that though, I believe that Nigerian youth is the biggest asset that Nigeria has today. Anybody who's born 24 years or younger has been born digital. The internet, the technology to go digital, it's all existed when they grew up. They've had, youth have had phones or been exposed to that. They've had a global perspective. Everyone's on Instagram and on Facebook and on Periscope and on WhatsApp. They're connected to people all over the planet. They're sharing ideas. They're sharing culture. They're being exposed to news, and they're educating themselves around the world as well. The Nigerian youth are also a huge asset because they're very tech savvy. This tech savviness is something that's critical for our world today. Our world today is very digital, as I was alluding to earlier. The digital nature is only going to be increasing. We have more technology coming through the pipeline. The pace of change due to technology is increasing. And the youth are the ones that are going to be able to harness this new change, this opportunity that arises because of the change that technology brings. So in the end, really, I believe you can add up the oil, you can add up the gas, you can add up the mining resources, the things that everyone always likes to talk about when they talk about what they're going to do for the future of the economy. But really, I would like you to think about the Nigerian youth as your biggest resource, not your biggest risk. I mean, it is a risk. We have to make sure that they are educated. We have to make sure that they have opportunities, that they feel empowered, and that they have jobs to be able to not be left idle. But if you look at that as an opportunity rather than as a challenge, I think that the Nigerian youth is a huge asset that should be leveraged in order for the country as well as as the companies to be able to go global. So going global leads me to my second point. You have to leverage cross-border diversity to create advantage. The world is a different place. Canada and Nigeria, it's quite easy to see the differences between our two homes. We have different cultures, we have different temperatures, our geography looks different, our priorities look different, our roads are different, but there's advantage, there's opportunity that can be exploited due to those cross-border differences. Some people call them institutional distance, which is basically the way that you can measure all the differences between two places. But really, it's just the diversity of things that we have, that we do, that allow us to create advantages. So how do we do that? Well, let's talk about Canada first, because you need to understand where we come from. Canada, we need to increase our diversity. I think that we can be able to combine what I was saying before. We can combine your resources with our resources. So the resources that exist internal with the resources that exist external to your sort of locus of control. If you can access those, combine those in a way that create value, I think that if you take for that perspective, Canada really does need Nigeria, and which is why I wanted to speak to you today. Canada needs Nigeria because we have a huge need to be able to increase and diversify our trade. Everybody needs to increase trade, so that's kind of a given. But the diversity part is an interesting one. Our two largest trading partners are the US and China. 80% of our trade comes from them. However, in the recent years, in the Trump time and the challenges with that the Canadian government is having with China due to Huawei, I don't know if anybody knows about this. You get that type of news in Nigeria. We have Canadians being detained and threatened execution by the Chinese government because of our dealings with what we've done with the U.S. And this has really put us into a really difficult position that has exposed our dependency. These trade wars have exposed our dependency on the US and China. And it's really difficult to be a small country of 37 million who's stuck between two giants of the US and China. So our presence in Africa is really not that big. And I think that there's a huge opportunity for us to increase our trade and diversify our trade if we can work hand in hand with the people of Africa, and in particular the people of Nigeria, whom I have a lot of relationships with from the last 3 years of working with people from Nigeria. The second thing that Canada needs from Nigeria is access to more youth. We only have 27% of our population that are 24 and younger. And if the technology age is something that's going to be changing our entire world, even more so than the internet already has, with the advent of artificial intelligence, we've got edge technology. So basically processing that's happening at the very edges of the internet, and being able to process data and send it back in at lower costs and lower bandwidth consumption. The youth is required. Technology is a young people's domain. So we need to be able to access more young people, and we just don't have them. And we have a small population. Our small population constraints our growth. You don't have much of a market if Canada is only going to sell to Canada or the US and China. If we're having difficulty selling to the US and China, we don't really have that many other options. China can do a lot of things that Canada can't because they've got a population of, close to 1.5 billion people. One city in China is the size of all of Canada's population put together. So we need to go outside of our country, and it's something that we're working on here too, is thinking a little bit more global. But Canada does need Nigeria for some really solid reasons. So I think that due to this, we need to be able to think about combining our resources with the resources that exist in Nigeria. We have, for every one person that's involved in technology here in Canada, we have something like 15, 20 in Nigeria that we can work together. And I really think that being able to combine our resources with your resources, whether it's nation to nation or company to company, we'll be able to, co-create, co-develop, co-deploy new services, new products, new solutions for the world. It's not just that Canadians want to sell to Nigerians and Nigerians are going to sell to Canadians. It's kind of an old dinosaur way of thinking. We need to be able to think bigger than that. We need to think on a global level. So being able to combine our company's resources with your company's resources to create new opportunity, new solutions for the rest of the world, including Canada and Nigeria. But if we can sell to the rest of the world by working together, then we have a great synergy that there's an opportunity for. So to be able to really do that, we have to invest in our innovation system. So this is my third belief, is that we need to make consistent investments into our innovation system. Innovation is what drives growth. And without growth, you can't compete. Prosperity comes from growth. And here are a whole bunch of reasons why growth is important. Your company is worth more. You make more money. Your chances of survival, which quite often are quite slim when you're in entrepreneurship, those increase if you can grow. And if you can grow early and grow rapidly, you're able to attract more resources. People are able to take you more seriously, and you create an image for your company. You create an image for yourself that allows people to say, I want to work with that person, or I want to work with that company, whether they be people who are with skills, talented individuals that need they've got the pick of the litter of which companies they want to go and work for, or if it is other companies that are searching for partners, or if it's the NCC who are looking for strategic partnerships to be able to increase their capabilities to support the digital world that is going to be rapidly developing in the Nigerian ecosystem. You can really make a difference if you grow. You create solutions for real world problems when you're an entrepreneur. And if you are an entrepreneur and you're driving growth using an innovation system, then you are by definition driving or creating a real difference in your community. And you're creating jobs, you're creating tax benefits. You're creating sustainability in your local environment. So you have to invest into the innovation systems to be able to drive growth. That investment is going to give you the power to be able to work with the world and to be able to get outside of the Nigerian boundaries. My fourth belief that I'm gonna bring to you is that I believe that we need to commit to one metric that is going to allow us to have a North Star, a guiding metric that's going to have all the other things align to make sure that we are moving in the right direction. And that metric is company value. I believe that committing to company value is what is going to allow us to align all of our resources, our processes, and our priorities to create that significant value that we're looking for. Now, when I say scaling, it's important to note that a lot of people use the word wrong. They use scaling and growing the same way, and growing doesn't mean scaling. To scale, a venture needs to grow. So scaling is really a special type of growth. But to grow, a venture does not need to scale. Just because you're growing does not mean you're scaling. So careful with how you use that, or start listening, because I'm gonna break the matrix for you when you start listening to people say that they scaled, and think to yourself, did they actually scale, or did they just grow? So what do I actually mean? When you just grow, you're just worried about one metric. You're just worried about that top one, the revenue, the customer, the number of customers in your customer base. Both very, very important metrics that you have to drive and you have to be focused on. But the value of your company is more than just one metric. And really, your best way to understand value or sort of scaling is to be able to understand scaling in relation to your costs. So it's how much your performance metric, one performance metric, in this case, we're going to focus on scaling, on company value. We are going to focus on increasing the amount of value that our company is worth. That piece of paper that says, I own this company. If I'm going to sell this piece of paper or a part of this piece of paper, how much are you going to pay me for it? You're going to pay me $1 million US, or you're going to pay me $100 million US for that piece of paper. So I need to be able to understand what makes me scale, and being able to say makes me scale is that I have a control metric. And it's the difference between the control and the growth metric that really shows that you're scaling. It's that difference in between the green line and the red line that shows that we actually are keeping our cost consistent, dropping, or incrementally increasing as the metric of choice. So in this case, your value of the company, that one is increasing at a significant rate or a parabolic rate. So it's that difference between the two, which is really the definition of scaling. It's not just that you grow. You can grow in a way that's unsustainable and create a structure that will actually end up making you go bankrupt because you're not controlling the cost at the bottom level. So it's a relation. And I have a written definition. I can go into more depth with that if you want to email me too. We know about scaling because we've studied it. And we've studied, we've created a project on growing companies that evolved to a project on scaling companies, which has now evolved to a whole community, a global community, which we call the Global SIRS community. We just released a brand new website. I welcome you to take a look at it. It has scaling assertions. It has a database of companies that have scaled to over $1 billion in value US in a very short period of time. And so you can look at the visualization, you can see the map, you can see there's 16 different industries, there's 22 different countries, 324 still privately held companies that are on the database, and all the data is live. As that data changes, the website updates. If you are there, make sure you have your cookies on, otherwise it doesn't work. We also have programs. We have a new program that we're launching tomorrow, actually. This is why I sound so hoarse. I haven't slept very much. we have a program on creating value using AI. So the program is called AI for Local Value. You'll hear a little bit more about that from the next speaker. And we also have profiles on these companies, these unicorn companies that have done this marvelous thing. So we have studied what scaling actually is, and we've tried to provide a resource that is open to the entire world to be able to understand this phenomenon more and be able to harness it. So these companies that are on it have gone from 0 to $1 billion in less than 10 years. So a marvelous thing. And we actually realized that the 10-year criteria is probably too long. We should have made it harder and said, okay, let's only study the ones that have done it in 5 years. But there's lots to understand, lots to see there. And Kenneth, just interrupt me if I'm running out of time, okay? So scaling is a mindset, and I'll try to. I got 9 more slides, so I got 6 more slides. So I'll try to get through this as quickly as possible. A shift in the mindset that we have, that we espouse to entrepreneurs at the local level. This is both in Canada and in Nigeria. We need to shift the way that we think. The world is round. The world is not flat. We have to stop thinking about creating a startup, creating a prototype, expecting to iterate that prototype, and expecting that turning into a company miraculously after some time. It's not about building prototypes. You have to think about prioritizing scaling from day one. You have to prioritize a scale engine and building that engine, understanding what is involved in that engine, and then iterating it continuously. It's not just about customers. That's a very narrow-minded way of thinking. There's stakeholders. There's a whole multiplicity of stakeholders that you have to worry about that are not just customers. You've got investors. You've got your employees. You've got your spouse. Are all stakeholders that you have to have a value proposition for, and it has to all be aligned. If you're only thinking about your customer and you try to go get money from an investor, they're gonna laugh you out of the room because you haven't thought about what's in it for them. What is the impact on your community? What's the impact on society as a whole? You have to understand that it's a bigger world, not just a really simple, narrow-minded world. It's not about business plans. Let's stop talking about business plans, please. The idea that we can create a business plan at the early stages and create a 20-page document describing what a business plan is. Planning is extremely important. I'm not saying planning is not important. You have to understand how your business works. But expecting a new entrepreneur that barely understands the customers that they're serving or the problem that the need that they're addressing, expecting them to come up with a business plan in their first time that they've gone through an incubator is ludicrous. We need to start thinking about a scaling master plan. We need to be able to think about what it is that we're going to iteratively get to be able to allow us to scale. And it's not about just growing revenue. It's about scaling company value. It's a higher order metric that revenue, as well as your network, as well as your capabilities, as well as your customer base, all of that is a level lower than scaling the company value. So let's use the North Star as scaling company value. So all of our decision making goes through that one criteria. So why are we going to scale early? The same reason that growing is important. You make more money. If we're going to prioritize scaling, we need a plan. Then the scaling, it acts as a guide. We know we want to become $1 billion company, US, not Canadian. Canadian money is good, but US money is worth more apparently in the world. From the day we begin and we're in baby diapers, we need to know that we're going, and not just for our own decision making, but for everybody else as well. We have our internal team, we have our decisions that we're making internally, but we have to have a narrative that we tell the rest of the world. We have to attract people to come and work with us on our team, or just to collaborate with us, to share value, to help us introduce to new networks, to have the stage to be able to talk to wonderful people like you. To be able to have all that happen, you have to have this idea that scaling early allows you to create a plan and keep everyone aligned on creating that. So you have to create it early. So this leads me to my last belief. Can we mute, actually I can mute him, I'm a host now, perfect. Thank you for the hosting, I appreciate it. To compete in the post-pandemic economy, folks, we need to provide the entrepreneurs of today with the knowledge and the structure to scale early and rapidly. It's imperative that the mechanics, the logic that is required to understand what I need to do as an entrepreneur, that needs to be widespread and available for all the people to be able to harness this changing trends to address the real needs of our society of today and build the society that we inspire to be able of the future. So I'm going to leave you with 3 key messages. One is that to innovate, you have to leverage Nigeria's biggest resource, its youth. Number 2 is that we have to set priorities that enable global growth. You have to adopt an outward view. We all know Nigeria is special. We all know Nigeria is different, but you can use that as an enabler, or you can use that as a constraint. And conventionally, from the conversations I've had over the last couple of years, is people say, no, listen, Canadian, you don't understand us. We're different, so we do things differently. Well, guess what? You're part of a global world, and you can't escape that. So you can be insular and be a hermit country like North Korea, or you can work with the world. You can look outside of your borders. You can embrace going global early to be able to foster innovation and to create the value, inspire the youth, and to be able to drive the private industry to be able to grow. Invest in your innovation systems, your innovation ecosystems, your business ecosystems, the knowledge transfer ecosystems, the entrepreneurship ecosystems. You have to invest in those to be able to create this global growth. And then you have to adopt a scaling mindset as well. And last, develop the processes to activate youth, the youth that you have, to create value for many different stakeholders. You got to increase their capabilities to be able to go global, and we can have another session about that, Kenneth, if you want to do a second event to do a follow-up. You have to work with the world. You can't just work with Nigerians. There's resources, there's knowledge, there's processes, there's priorities that all exist outside of your boundaries that you can leverage. You can create new opportunities, new advantages by working with people, with the world. And you have to embrace digital. It is changing the world. Artificial intelligence is here. It's not something that's coming. It's here. And we're doing a full 6-week program of it starting tomorrow. You have to embrace it to be able to go global. And I really am encouraged by the gentleman from the NCC, providing, encouraging words to say that we're going to increase the amount of infrastructure and access to the internet, and to hopefully to not having power outages too, but that's a whole other thing. So I want to give special thanks to the CERS community. It's not just me. There's a number of people that I've built on. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. And the biggest giant that I know, and my constant mentor and voice, is the next speaker who will be coming up, who is also my father, Professor Tony Belletti. And you've already heard from him, but you will enjoy hearing from him some more. So thank you very much for your attention, for your time. And if you would like to connect with me, I'm best connected with on LinkedIn or via my email. You could feel free to contact me. Please add me on LinkedIn, that way you can keep track of things. I'm not much of a Twitter user. I don't remember the last time I logged into Twitter, probably in May. But if you do, my handle is @ScaleCamp, and if you want to tweet at me, do a hashtag of scaling is mindset. So I appreciate it, and thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, sure. No problem. Hmm. Yeah, of course. And if you'd like, if you'd like to put on the summit, I can share with you my slides, and you can post the PDF on your website. And there's the link. There's the link embedded in the slide deck. Or people can email me too if they want to get access to the slides as well. Sorry for blowing through your time. I didn't have the chat box open. My apologies. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm. Well, I mean, the brilliant thing right now is that you've got a wonderful tech sector. You've got a whole bunch of youth that are already invested in they've developed their own capabilities. They've been able to you've got a number of people that you rely on today. I think that that's also that challenge. So to kind of deflect a little bit, I think that challenge is why innovation summits like that are like this are so important. That the influencers that are able to change the world, the professors that are here, the government folks that are here, the entrepreneurs that are here, the innovation, the ecosystem leaders that are here, need to put their time and prioritize strengthening the innovation system to be able to enable those youth to be able to develop those capabilities. But I don't think that you guys don't have those capabilities. I think you have an opportunity to have a lot more of them, but there are a lot of there's a huge population of people. I think the fifth largest, and my father can correct me if I'm wrong, the fifth largest group of students that come to Canada for undergraduate and graduate studies are Nigerians. That they may even be fourth largest. You have a huge diaspora that is just, they can't wait to see Nigeria turn into the country that everyone aspires it to be. So yeah, I think that even though you're resource constrained somewhat, I think that instead of taking it as a constraint, I think it's really a resource. It's a gold mine that you can use to explore. Yeah. Hello, sir. How are you? I thought he had a question.
Hello. Oh, that's fine. That is fine.
We have a lot of different ways of pronouncing it. Boletti or Bialetti. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
I'm around.
I am around.
I knew that was going to happen. You're right. Osemekian. You're right. You're right.
Yes, I'm around. Good afternoon.
Sorry, please, I think I have to look at it. Sorry. Maybe because
Thank you. Thank you very much.
good afternoon.
So basically what we have, so excuse me on that, what we've done is we prepared a program with the professors. So we'll get to your question in a minute, but I think that they're going to tell us about the opportunities and the challenges. So can I hold you on the questions until we're ready for them? We have a, okay? So could you make sure that they have access to that? So good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to thank Kenneth very much for organizing this and all the people that are making this work. I'm in Ottawa in Canada. My name is Tony Belletti, and we're going to do something different. And the panel session is calling Deploying AI to Create Value, Opportunities and Challenges. And today I'm thrilled on the people that we have that were just introduced. This is the way we're going to run it. So number one, we're going to have five very distinguished professors from the top universities in Nigeria talk to us about the opportunities and challenges in AI. Each professor is going to have 5 minutes. It'll take us 25 minutes for them to present. I have their slides. They're ready to go. They're going to put the slides up, so they're going to need permission to be able to put up the slides. If there's a problem, then I'll put them up. But they'll be speaking. They are the important part, ladies and gentlemen. They are the important part for this morning, for this afternoon. They're very knowledgeable. Some of your best universities are involved here. Then what we're going to do is a second round where the professors are going to provide us with insights on what they heard all the other professors say. Professors don't necessarily agree. And they're going to have some contrary opinions, or they're going to add value to whatever they said. Each professor is going to have 2 minutes for the second round. That will take 10 minutes. Then we're going to have the questions and answers. That's when you folks can come in with your questions. Please make them clear and succinct. And then we'll have the professors provide with answers, and that'll take us about 12 minutes. Then there'll be closing remarks. Each professor is going to have 1 minute. There's 5 of them, so that's 5 minutes in total. They'll make your closing remarks then. I will then provide a small summary at the end, and then we're going to provide you with a report on what we think happened. So the session is scheduled this way. Please make sure that you're not, that you make noise in the background. That's really distracting. And we have a lot of good stuff for you today. My name is Tony Belletti. I'm the professor at Carleton University. I'm also the chair of the board of directors of the Nigeria-Canada Trade and Investment Group. I have deep ties with Nigeria. I've had them for a long period of time. And tomorrow, like Eduardo said, we're introducing a program with the professors that are going to be speaking with you today called AI for Local Value. We're very excited about this, tremendous amount of excitement on the Canadian side on how Nigeria has reacted to this. So we're really looking forward to making this a wonderful success. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how much you know about universities in Nigeria, but you have a total of 160 universities in Nigeria. 157 of those universities are rated. And today, we have 5 of your top 9 universities being represented in this panel. So we have Ahmadu Bello University, University of Ibadan, University of Benin, University of Lagos, and University of Ilorin. This university is ranked on the top 9 of the country. And not only do we have great universities, we have some very distinguished professors. I've been interacting with them. I'm just absolutely delighted that they're here. We're all excited. We were together last night, and I expect a wonderful, wonderful time today. So they have already been introduced. Muhammad Bashir is with the Department of Computing Engineering at Ahmadu Bello University in Kaduna State. Temia Yorindes with the Department of Computer Science, University of Ibadan in the state of Oyo. Osakian Omoifo is the chair of the Department in Computer Engineering at the University of Benin in Edo State. Chika Yinga Bango is with the University of Lagos. She's a senior lecturer there in the Computer Science Department. And she's also a research fellow at MIT. That's when I met her. She came to visit us in Ottawa right after her stint at MIT. She's with the University of Lagos and Lagos State. And last but not least, there's Professor Isaac Adimula from the University of Ilorin in the state of Kwara. He's a professor of physics, and he's also the director of academic planning for the university. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming these wonderful professors. They're going to be speaking this order. So Muhammad Bashir is going to go first. Muhammad?
Yes, Tony.
Go ahead and put your slides up, or would you like me to put them up?
They've not enabled us to do so, so maybe you might have to put it on.
Okay, let me put it up for you, and let me see where you are, right here. Share. Okay, Muhammad, great to see you, my friend. Take it away.
Okay. Thank you, Tony, and thank you all, and it's my pleasure to be part of this panel discussion on deployment of AI to create value. And considering our peculiarities and our region, we think the windows of opportunities for AI deployment lies in the following areas: agriculture. And so we're looking at how AI can be deployed to enhance optimality in the farming process in what you call the paradigm shift, you call precision agriculture. We're also looking at how AI can be deployed to enhance security in our farms and inevitably address the perennial issue of the crisis between farmers and herders. And as we've seen recently, how much flood has devastated farmlands around the Northwest region. So we're also looking at the possibility of deploying AI for flood prediction and planning for after flood events. Another critical issue bedeviling our area today is the security challenges we have surrounding issues like kidnappings, banditry, and cattle rustling. So we're looking at deployment of AI to enhance situational awareness and also to enhance, to have some sort of technology-based surveillance and tracking systems to be able to monitor the movements of both the culprits and the victims of those kidnappings or banditry issues. Another issue that we also think there's a serious window of opportunity is to enhance the student experience within the university system. So we're looking at development and deployment of AI-based systems, starting from the admission process to registration process, hostel room allocation process, graduation process, and even post-graduation life, with maybe looking at employment records, with just to enhance the student experience in the university system. Another issue that's also important within the university system is to be able to develop AI-based timetables that will address our peculiarities of insufficient spaces. So in essence, to be able to develop and deploy some sort of AI-based facility management structure to enhance the student experience within the university system. Now, considering all these opportunities, we also realize that critically there are challenges that we need to be able to overcome. We're all aware that for us to be able to develop robust AI systems, we need also to have robust data. So one of the challenges that we need to be able to overcome is the collection, collation, and management of data to ensure data integrity and to ensure data security. Now, critical to this is the issue of resources. And I'm very happy that Eduardo touched on the issue of resource and highlighting our key strength in the human resource we have. But we also need to be able to address resource issue with respect to having the requisite infrastructure. So we're looking at whether the necessary TPUs, GPUs to develop those AI systems, and also the platforms to run those AI systems. But most importantly, and I think this is very critical, even riding from what Eduardo said, we need to be able to develop the human capacity we have for the development and deployment of these AI systems. But also more critical is we need this human capacity to be able to do advocacy for those AI systems. And those advocacies are required in order for us to be able to overcome some of the inhibitions that we have. This could be attitudinal and this could be cultural inhibitions. Maybe this may not be universal all around the country, but we have situations in which we need to be able to have people that should be able to advocate for AI, to be able to change people's mindset about what AI actually stands for. So I think these are some of the opportunities and challenges that we think are abound within our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. Our next speaker comes from the University of Ibadan. Her name is Temi Ayorinde. And Temi, I'm going to put your slides up in the moment I find them. There we go. No, this is, sorry, that's the wrong one.
Yes, Professor.
How are you? Yeah, no, just give me a second. I'll find your slides in a minute. I was put on the spot here. Okay, there you go, Timmy.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Timmy. How are you? Jesus Star. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you. Good afternoon, Professor Tony. My name is Dr. Ebeyika Timilayinde from the University of Ibadan, Department of Computer Science. I'll be sharing with you this afternoon the 3 top opportunities of deploying AI to create value in Nigeria, and then the top 3 challenges as well. The first point I have there is that AI can improve our decision making in diverse ways. If you look at the digital economy, presently we know that we have new digital trends, even such as the cloud computing and the mobile services in this nation. Now, all the information that we have in this area can actually help us to make new decisions in the country. And most companies now even are relying on algorithm-based models in order for them to make decisions. And this can also be helpful too, even in our nation, Nigeria. Also, when we talk about digital learning in the academic, the lecturer through e-learning can actually monitor the progress of his or her students. E-learning can enable us able to see the student, can enable us to learn the trend at which students are learning. And it can also enable us to know the students that are weak, the students that are strong, and come to their aid even on time. Most times, physically, when we deal with most of these students, it takes a lot of time for us to discover them individually. But if we have, artificial intelligence enabled instruments that can actually, that we can incorporate into our e-learning system, all these things can actually make this work easier for us to detect even such kind of students on time. We talk about digital finance, and I want us to know that even up until now, the number of adult Nigerians that are still unbanked are about 40%. That is according to research. And when you look at most of these people in the rural areas, even though we have cell phones common these days, most of them are not still using that, most especially the ones that are farmers. They want to transact their businesses. So in this area, digital financial inclusion has to come in. So these are some of the areas that we can look into and we can create value in this nation, Nigeria. Also in the area of e-health, doctors can actually monitor their patients in real time. It is not every time that a patient needs to go to the hospital and spend the whole day there simply because he or she is complaining of headache and he or she wants to see the doctor. Most especially those ones that have been diagnosed with specific disease. I think there should be a way of linking them up with their personal doctors in such a way that they can be treated on time so as to enable them live longer. Also, secondly, in the area of precision agriculture, this actually is real-time management of crops and animals. If we have drones that have AI-enabled cameras, these cameras can capture the entire farm and then analyze the images in real time in order to identify the problematic areas there, and then give the farmers even the privilege to know what exactly to do at the right time. And then the last but not the least there is for city planning or smart city. We have a lot of information or data, flying around on our phones. All this information can be used able to plan our city. It can be used even for security purposes. And also, if we have, enough data for instance, now during the rainy season, we can say that we can use the data that we have to make sure that we foresee when flood is coming, just like the previous speaker has said, and then forestall them one way or the other. For instance, now presently, we have the Ibadan Urban Flood Management Project, which is being supported by the World Bank, and they are looking for technological solutions that revolves around even early warning systems. So if we have all these things, our country will be a better place. And quickly, Professor Tony, the challenges now, that's the next slide. Now, concerning the challenges, the fear of change is one of the greatest challenges that we are having. Even though many people have imbibed the issue of the internet and then digitalization as a whole, but some other people too are still fearful. And then actually, if you look at it, it isn't their fault. When they hear about bad news, most times, especially the issue of cybersecurity, is alarming. And this actually discourages some even from going online to do so many transactions. But we in technology, this not go along with it as it has come, even to say. And then failure of the system. Some are afraid of failure of the system, And that is one of the reasons why I actually thank the NCC. Steps have been put in place even for new innovations, so that we this kind of thing can actually, help us to avoid failure of systems. And then some of the some of the things that people fear again is loss of jobs. But one thing with the issue of loss of job is that as you are losing a job, many more jobs are also being created, even through technology. So when we bring in artificial enabled instruments into place, it makes you to be better off. Another major challenge is the bureaucratic issues. Bureaucracy in itself is a good thing, but you see, when it gets to the point of not getting the right information, or when you have put in your innovation and then it needs to go through certain processes, but the information is not flowing back to you, then the inventors may actually get discouraged. So the government can actually help the inventors to look at this area so that these processes can come out on time. And then the last but not the least is the lack of access to indigenous data repository. We cannot continue to depend on overseas data, even to manage our country. In this nation, Nigeria, we cannot really boast of data repositories. Even in the academic, well, most times we need to do certain researches, and these researches are not forthcoming simply because we do not have access to data. But I believe that if we begin to have, research labs in our universities or at research institutes in such a way that we can have data repositories, all this can actually help us to move forward in the nation. And I want us to know that when we talk about data, we are not just talking about, in this essence now, it's not just data on the internet that has to cut across almost everybody, but we are talking about Nigerian data now that is peculiar to us in Nigeria. Look at the this COVID-19 pandemic now. The thing is behaving strangely in Nigeria. As it is killing so many people in other countries, Nigerians, it is not as much as that in Nigeria. So people have wondered, what could be the cause? What could be the cause? So if we have, some repositories on ground whereby we can access our data and then do some researches on them, I think this can actually help the country and even the world at large. So these are a few of the things that we have put together. Thank you very much. Over to Tony.
Thank you very much, Professor Ayorinde. Our next professor is Professor Osemekian Omoifo. He's the head of the Department of Computer Engineering, University of Benin. Let me find your slide, sir. How are you?
Thank you, Tony. I'm fine.
I am trying to find your, no, this is not yours. I got a problem now with finding them. Give me a second here. Okay, I got him here. It just takes a while. There's so many. Okay, go ahead, Professor Moifo. Professor Moifo? Professor Moifo, you were there a minute ago. Okay, let me go down to the next speaker then is Professor Chika. Chika, you want to put up your slides? I've given you control. You can put up your new slides there.
I'm here.
Okay, go. Put your slides.
Okay. Okay.
Professor Chika Jinga is with the University of Lagos, and she's a research fellow at MIT.
Okay, can you see my slides?
Yes.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I will start by saying, before we start to know the value that AI can create in Nigeria, What is AI? AI is called machine intelligence. You have seen things that work on their own without anybody being led, leading it to do anything. We call that machine intelligence. So AI sometimes is called machine intelligence, is intelligence demonstrated by machines, unlike the natural intelligence displayed by humans and animals. I am from University of Lagos, the Department of Computer Sciences. Now, what are the opportunities? From my colleagues that just spoke earlier, they've mentioned almost everything I want to mention. They mentioned agriculture, the other person mentioned security, but I guess these are major things in value in the country, because if you talk about our food from, and if you talk about security, that is one major thing we need to solve in this country. We know about what's going on in the north, the Boko Haram kind of saga that has been on for a long time. So if you talk about security, agriculture is a cost. We talk about what can AI do for Nigeria. So for the opportunities, the first one is agriculture. In this particular, about how intelligent is our farming? What kind of opportunity can AI bring to Nigeria in our farming system? There's some use of AI in agriculture includes measurement and analysis of soil data like temperature, nutrients, and vegetative health to help farmers apply the right fertilizer and optimally irrigate their farms. Also using big data and analytic capabilities to transform farmers into a knowledge-based community with the goal of improving productivity through precision insights. So this is what AI can help achieve in Nigeria. The second one is the security aspect, where there are a lot of security challenges, which include agency, kidnapping, armed robbery, stealing, among others. These challenges really affect our economy and growth. So flying surveillance drone, which is machine learning. Flying surveillance drone, which is a flying robot that relays data. In this particular instance, the data that it will relay will be video, image, or audio of its footprints can be deployed. It moves without noise and in the direction that the user wants. Also for the night scope robots. And what is robots? Robot is just a machine, but you make it to be intelligent. You program it to do some certain things. And we can leverage on this kind of intelligence and achieve what we call the monitoring system or surveillance. And we can do that also in the parks. If you can bear with me, if you park your car sometimes and you come back, the car might have been vandalized. But if you have things like night scope robots, use the monitoring parking lots in shopping ports, seaports, markets, banks, etc. It can be deployed and it can help us in securing our goods and lives. These are intelligent systems used in prevention of human kidnapping, human trafficking, snatching of vehicles and goods. Example are Global System Mobile Network, GSM, Global Positioning System, GPRS, and Global Positioning Route System, the GPRS. So the last one is the mining and oil sector. Now in Nigeria, we are blessed with a lot of natural resources such as coal, clay, limestone, lead, oil, zinc. And naturally, each state got a fair share of these goods. It's just that it's almost everywhere, and we are really naturally blessed. Now, but the Nigerian Extractive Industry and Transparency Initiative reports suggest that there are 30 different kinds of solid minerals, and the level of exploitation of this is very low in relation to deposits in the country. So many, therefore, resorted to primitive way of extracting the resources, and that has led to loss of so many lives. I remember a research I did when I was doing my PhD in South Africa. It was on how using robots to do underground mine safety inspection, where we check what goes on underground, because a lot of miners are doing extraction from underground mining. Now, this will help. These are a very good opportunity to use AI to extract what we have. As one we are going to, which is the last slide, is what are the challenges? The first one I reckon with is infrastructural cost. This to a great extent affects the creation of innovation tools with artificial intelligence. We all know about internet. The internet has come to stay. It came from the US and it has affected the whole world. And we have been leveraging on this. However, the cost is much. Take, for instance, this thing I'm doing here right now. To even stream video takes a lot of data. We still keep buying data at exotic prices, and it's affecting, and it's affecting us. It's a challenge that we need to solve. So the internet, for example, has today created this for us, and we need to leverage on using artificial intelligence to solve this problem of expense that we have been doing. The fear of change. This is one major thing, that if you go outside this country, you will know a lot of things they say about Nigerians, that we don't like change. We don't want to. Yes, it's not like it's only Nigerians, but if you ask me, it's a natural thing. Change, there's a fear. How would this work? I want to go back to the old time religion. But however, another challenge that we always face is, how can I leave my old ways and go to this new way? Do I even know what fear of change? That's one thing that is hindering, and one challenge that we need to overcome. And the last one is what we call the social economic barrier, critical about complicated artificial intelligence solutions related to science and algorithm. Immediately you mention algorithm, they will start telling you my area. I don't want this. I don't really need to go through this stress. However, they believe that artificial intelligence can only be understood by, and as such, totally lose interest. So these are the challenges we are facing in getting this AI to create value in Tony and everyone that has listened to this talk.
Thank you very much, Chika. Wonderful. Could you stop sharing, and I'll get the next speaker up? You need to stop sharing, Chika.
Okay, so I should call the next speaker. Is that what you mean?
No. Stop sharing your screen.
Oh, sorry. Okay, let me stop it. Sorry. Let me stop it. I've stopped it. Okay,
thank you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce the next speaker, which is Isaac Kadimula, Professor Isaac Kadimula. He's a professor of physics as well as the director of academic planning at the University of Ilorin. Now my challenge is to find his slides. And there we go. Up you go, Professor Adimula, your show. How are you, my friend?
Thank you very much, Tony. Thank you very much. I am Adimula Isaac Abiodun from the University of Ilorin. I'm a professor of physics, and I'm currently the director of academic planning, University of Ilorin. Thank you very much. Next slide. Okay, sorry. The previous one.
Oh,
the
sorry.
Previous one. Okay, thank you very much. The opportunities for AI, opportunities for value addition. From our own end, one major opportunities in agriculture, we need to do an innovative animal rearing and husbandry. And everybody is good at it. Virtually all the speakers have spoken about agriculture in Nigeria, and as it's become a major source of violence, a major source of infighting. And I believe that it is lack of education, lack of knowledge is creating a lot of problems for us in this country. And I think if we have an innovative animal rearing and husbandry that can be supported by artificial intelligence, we can solve quite a lot of other farmers' problem in this country. And I believe that having artificial intelligence driving our animal husbandry and driving the animal rearing is still dependent on centuries old pattern, and is causing a lot of major crisis in this country already, and it's also almost at the cost of breaking the country into pieces. And I believe that these are issues that can be solved with new knowledge and new thinking, and that is why I believe that artificial intelligence can be a lot of help for us in our agriculture and to solving this animal rearing and husbandry. The second one is in deployment of in the education. Now there's a challenge of post-COVID-19 learning. And most of the universities in Nigeria could not just start learning. And most of the schools in Nigeria are still closed. Whereas other universities in other countries are beginning to get over the post-COVID-19 problem. There are still a lot of problems in Nigeria because because there's a lack of deployment of appropriate infrastructure. And I believe that introducing artificial learning can bring smart campuses, smart universities, smart students, and smart lectures, smart teaching. And I believe that the introduction of artificial intelligence can help our local initiatives in COVID-19 learning. Then the e-learning solutions for the teeming population. There's a lot of population in Nigeria, and as Eduardo was saying, there are about 57%, there are quite a lot of, about 57% of under 24 years old Nigerians that are used. And these ones are digitally savvy, far better than most of us who are old. And I believe that deployment of artificial intelligence for their help, for their education will be a help. Because most of these children that you see in the streets are not educated, and any little thing they are ready to go into violence. And I believe that the strength of the nation will have been to take advantage of what is interesting to them. Most of them are digitally savvy, and if you teach them the traditional way of teaching, they may not grasp it, they may not be interested in it. And that is why if we deploy AI in e-learning solution, we may be able to rescue some of these younger ones and make them productive. Most of them are still thinking of resources-based economy, but the world is leaving that one to go into knowledge-based economy. And I believe that introduction of artificial intelligence and helping it and smart learning in classes and even self-learning, they can learn on themselves at home using artificial intelligence, teaching them and using fresh algorithms rather than the traditional teacher to students teaching, which most of them don't even really like nowadays. And if we deploy a smart campus, smart teaching, it can help, and it can help to bring smart population. The other one for the opportunity is in the area of health systems. I noticed that most of the excuse me. I noticed that most of our problems in health management there are poor data systems in our health management, and there's a need for automation and deployment of health management systems. Most of the hospitals and healthcare practitioners in this country right now, they have no idea of how the knowledge-based economy can help their systems. And I believe that if we have an automated system for health practitioners, by deploying AI, it could help the health management system, it will help their records keeping, it will help their repository. Then it will also improve their diagnostics. Most deaths in this country and all over the world, many deaths result from wrong diagnosis. And because one doctor will say another thing, another doctor will say another thing. So most of them are not even agreeing on what the cause of the problem is. But if you have artificial intelligence, it can help our diagnosis, and you can reduce death rate considerably in the country. And I believe that if we deploy artificial intelligence in agriculture, education, and health systems, apart from helping the economy of the nation, it also helps the citizens. It also helps to building smart children, smart future, and a better future. Thank you very much. This next slide. Next slide, Tony. Thank you. Then the challenges of AI in local community. One, there's most of the speakers have spoken about this one also. But one, there's weak infrastructure. The one is human resources. Most of the children that, even though they are young, they are not well trained, and because the training today is still relying on the old ways of training students, and most of these students don't want these old ways of training. They would rather stay on their phone, and if you can have a way of training them on their phone, it will be better. They will be smarter than having the traditional training method. So one, the infrastructure is weak. People are talking about the cost of data, the cost of connectivity. Dr. Sipo could not connect because he said there was rain in Benin. And these are all issues of weakness in infrastructure. So major challenge is our weak infrastructure in education, in human resources, in power. There's power failure almost at an alarming rate. And these are issues for which the platform for which AI will be deployed will be sound infrastructure. And we need to help our infrastructure. The next thing item I think that we are weak in is in poverty. That will be a challenge in the deployment of artificial intelligence poverty. An average person now believes that the money he has is for him to feed. He's not even thinking of how to develop himself. Tell people, even if you tell some lecturers in the university to teach, they will be telling you, how will I get money for data? And it speaks of the poverty of the mind and poverty of ideas, not knowing that even developing yourself is of greater value than what you think that you will be losing. And there's a need for reorientation, because if artificial intelligence has to be deployed, then this idea of I cannot spend my money on data, I cannot do this one, must give way for proper growth. Then another challenge is economic and political instability. There's a lot of political instability in this country. Before the pandemic, the naira was exchanging for about $370 naira for $1. But now, after just at the end, towards the end of this pandemic, it's almost 470 naira. So we are talking of about 30% loss in value. And there's nobody will want to invest in such an economy when you cannot predict even that within 1 year your currency is losing 30% of its value. And I believe these are strong issues for which there are local challenges, and there's also political instability. We are speaking of kidnappings, insecurity, and nobody wants to invest in the situation because artificial intelligence needs a lot of investment. It needs a lot of planning. It needs a lot of investment. But when you are not even sure of getting to the next destination safely, then that is not time to plan. And these are issues for which I believe that we should address. We are the people we are the government, and we should address it among ourselves. We should address it locally. We should address it globally. We should address it nationally. Once these things are in place, I believe there will be a good foundation for AI to thrive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Ademola. That was wonderful. Our speaker from University of Benin is back, Professor Omoifo. I'm going to put your slides up, sir. He had a power failure back in Benin. So we are going to no, that's not it. Sorry about that. Getting these things right, it's always a problem. There you go. We got him. Professor Moifo.
Thank you very much, Tony.
Floor is yours.
Good day all. Sorry about earlier. My name is Osemehian Omoifo of the Department of Computer Engineering, University of Benin, Benin City in Edo State. Next slide, please. Thank you. I believe that the following areas on the slide there offer the top 3 most productive and fastest opportunity for growth of companies, universities, and cities in Nigeria. Informatics, business, and the economy can take advantage of large amount of online as well as offline information to make informed, data-driven decisions that will grow both business and economy. However, it takes considerable time and effort to collect, monitor, and analyze data. AI-powered tools can be fitted into every data producing workflow to provide actionable insights. With these valuable insights, AI can be used to improve business performance with tools such as predictive analysis, which will enable business focus on high achieving marketing strategy. Another very important big area is that of the virtual private assistants, which find invaluable applications in customer service management, allowing businesses to scale their customer service efforts and free up resources needed for much more difficult customer interactions. Virtual private assistants could also be integrated into our homes, our workspaces, to provide a more personalized, automated control of our environments. The third one there, the healthcare, is probably the biggest, contribution that AI could provide, and can be scaled to provide personal health care and also better health care for elders. Next slide, please. Tony, next slide, please.
Yeah, I moved it. You got the challenges there.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Moved. Okay. So on this over there, I think the data issues and AI misinformation and the workforce are the three biggest challenges of AI deployment in Nigeria. Data issues are probably the ones that most businesses and organizations in Nigeria have. Of course, we all know that a system is only as good as the data that it is given. In order to train machine learning algorithms for AI, you need huge and clean data sets with minimal bias. In Nigeria, most of this data isn't available and ready for consumption because it is in unstructured form. Data used for training generally consists of sensitive information, and due to the nature of storage facility, most businesses here find it challenging to collect and store those data. The problem with AI in this part of the world, Nigeria in particular, is that it is like a black box to many people. It is very difficult to explain a deep learning algorithm in a simple way to a person who is probably not a programmer or an engineer. Generally, people don't feel comfortable when they don't understand how decisions are made and are skeptical about embracing something that they think will take away their control, their relevance, and their jobs. However, they fail to realize that AI is meant to aid and not replace them. The general idea is that intelligent machines are intended to do jobs that humans find dull, unappealing, and dangerous. So somehow we have to educate the general populace on this misconception. Then the last point is the workforce. I honestly believe that right now, there's a shortage of AI brain power and talent in Nigeria. Although a lot of people think that simply knowing how to program and a rudimentary understanding of how AI works is sufficient to create great AI services and products. But this is not true. And a lot of companies will are actually finding it a bit hard to create their AI vision for the company because of this lack of appropriate available workforce. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, each speaker is going to have up to 2 minutes to either refute what other speakers have said or to add value to what they've said. We're going to start with Professor Muhammad Bashir Mwazu from Ahmadu Bello University. You have to have two minutes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Tony, and thank you, my colleagues, for all your interventions. I think I will start maybe with the submission by the professor from University of Ibadan, and I'm really wondering whether access to, as you said, access to indigenous data repository is really the issue in Nigeria today. But okay, maybe I better even start generally by saying I thought we ought to have focused on issues related to our maybe immediate environment or regions or something. I see that there are so many generalized issues about what we think AI can add value to in Nigeria. But like I said, for Ibadan, I'm really critical as to whether the real issue is access to indigenous data repositories. Do we even really have data repositories? That's the first question. With respect to the submission from University of Ilorin, and I'm really curious as to understand why there's even any issue about health management systems. I think if not for maybe some local-based hospitals, I think most of the hospitals today in Nigeria have some form of effective health management system. So I'm not really sure that's really a critical issue. But the other thing I really want to understand from the Ilorin presentation is I'm really at a loss as to what he exactly meant by self-learning algorithms. I got lost completely with that submission. And finally, with respect to the presentation from University of Benin, from Dr. Omoefo, I hope we can still recall the last time we met Dr. Omoefo.
Of course I can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm really curious as to why you think virtual private assistance is an issue that we should really be bothered about today in Nigeria. I see you're making an argument we do not have the requisite workforce. Then why do you think of all the things that we could deploy AI to, we should be bothered about virtual private assistance? I think there are far more very important issues, even in the South or in Nigeria generally, that we ought to concentrate our attentions on deployment of AI to address. I think the presentation from University of Lagos is fine, but generally speaking, I think we are not conscious of time management. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Muhammad Bashir Masood. The next speaker, Temi Ayoronde from University of Ibadan. Temi, you have 2 minutes. You have to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Okay, Professor Tony, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I will have to answer the first speaker, even concerning the issue of the indigenous and data repositories. You know, when we talk about artificial intelligence, just like Dr. Chika had said, you know, artificial intelligence, what does it simply mean? Simply means intelligence that is demonstrated even by machines. And then the machines on their own cannot put this intelligence there. And that is why artificial intelligence comes in. Artificial intelligence needs what we call knowledge-based systems. And then when we are talking about deploying AI to create value in our community in Nigeria, then that is to say that we need to build our own knowledge base. We are not to depend on other people's knowledge base. Now, one thing I have noticed is that most times when students are conducting researches on anything, they go online to get their data, their data set. And most times we begin to wonder, okay, these data sets are meant for so place. For instance, let's consider face recognition. When you talk about data set for face recognition, the face of a white man is not the same thing with the face of a black man. It's even the face of somebody from Kenya is not the same as people from Nigeria. And so you see, there are so many things that we can use this data set for in our country. The issue of security is there. The country can use the indigenous data set in overseas countries. There is no way you can go. I mean, you can go scot-free if you have committed an offense. But in Nigeria here, you can commit thousands of offenses and then still go scot-free. Why? Because we are not keeping that data. Why? Because nothing is tracking down our data. And that is why if we are talking about deploying AI, to create value in Nigeria, then we need these data repositories. And that is why we should begin to build them. Our government should do something to help our universities and research institutes to begin to build all this, because when you talk about machine learning itself, we need data. All these algorithms, they learn best when they have huge amount of data. And now we are talking about Nigeria. And that is why I have specifically made this indigenous data repository. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Ayoronde. Professor Moifo, you're next. You've got 2 minutes left. Yes? Okay.
All right then.
Perfect. Professor Moifo.
Okay, let me a quick one then. I agree with the previous speakers that the key is not it's the fact that we don't actually have a data repository. We need to actually build one. Then in reply to the statement about the virtual private assistant, the truth of the matter is that people need answers, and that's where they come in. Look at agriculture, for example, that everyone has identified that is very important. If you have an assistant that can answer you or every question based on agriculture, give you advice, give you some general guidance, I think that will aid in improving or solving the agricultural problem, not just about the infrastructure itself. Thank you. Hope I didn't exceed 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Professor Omoifo. Chica, you have maximum of 1 minute. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much. I don't need to go far. I accept all we said about the opportunities. Everybody, we listed a lot of opportunities. But the one thing I need to stress is, if we are looking for something for the nation, we should look at primary need, secondary need, and tertiary need. The primary need is the one that affects everybody, both child, adults, and little. So if you're talking about primary need here, that virtual private assistant is not supposed to be part of primary need. I think I from ABU. Is actually something that happens to those in the tertiary ward or secondary ward that understand how to use virtual assistant. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chika. Professor Adimula, you have the last 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Prof. Tony. One, the issue is the issue of self-learning algorithm. I believe that we can sit down as a nation, develop algorithms so that even if students are not in class, they can be taught by themselves by just switching it off from their phone. They can be taught from their mobile devices, from their PDA devices. They can be taught, and they can be taught from their computer, which is virtually similar to what they are learning in class. If we have such learning algorithm, you can be sure that most of our students will be better educated, and some of them may not even need to come to classes. They only need to come to classes when they need to have physical man-to-man interactions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now we open the floor for questions. So we have, go ahead with your questions, make them short and very clear, and get one of the speakers to respond, please. Okay, Kenneth?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Kenneth, by the way, Professor, meet Kenneth. He is the person who is responsible for organizing all of this. We met in Ottawa last year, and he told me to do this, so we're doing it.
Thank you so much, Professor Baletti, and all the professors we have in the house. I'm glad that you guys are bringing up opportunity to discuss about the challenges you have in deploying AI. Professor Ayorinde mentioned something very critical, bureaucracy. I think that is one of the leading challenges that I see in Nigeria. I don't know how, some of you occupy some strategic positions in your university, being the computer sciences. How have you been able to fight the bureaucracy? Because bureaucracy stops a lot of things that should happen in Nigeria. How have you been able to, do that personally, to foster growth in your departments? Thank you.
Can I come in?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Kenneth. Bureaucracy is not something that one can actually fight by oneself. If you look at every parastatal, this is a common phenomenon in every parastatal. But in the university, let me just talk about innovations now. There is this project that students have been involved in for over 1 year now. We call it GeoHackathon program. In this program, many students have come up with innovations, with certain innovations. So what happens is the World Bank actually encourages these students by giving them prizes. And so at the end of the day, they are being introduced to industry so that they can have a large scale of this thing. So, the university is still a small community. Because we are not actually bringing these innovations into the real world. En masse. And that is why we are linking these students to the industry. But I believe by the time we link them to the industry, that is the end of everything. We don't hear any other thing again. In connection with those innovations. So I believe that it is even the government that can actually help us in making sure that things are in place. Things are made easy for people to present, so that these laws will not hinder people from coming up with new innovations. I don't know if I have answered your question, please.
You have to a large extent, but for AI and innovation to grow, the university plays a critical role in that, especially this time that we have COVID-19, we are not going to be expecting other countries to provide us with, ventilators, for example. So some of the, processes of approving things in the university is so, cumbersome, and it doesn't, help for innovation. So if you guys can use your positions to make that happen, until we begin to make things work so fast, to innovate, we're not going to make any progress. Thank you so much.
Does any other panelists would like to add some value to the answer to Kenneth? Professor Masu,
yes.
Professor
Yinka?
Okay. Yes.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay.
Yeah, I think some of the, with respect to the last intervention by Kenneth, I think some of the issues will not, especially with respect to the university system, may actually be artificial bureaucracy, simply because the university system is bedeviled by lack of funds. So some of those issues with respect to actually encouraging innovation, those bureaucratic bottlenecks that may be introduced with respect to encouraging innovation may be due to paucity of funds within the university system. So some of these things are not artificially created in order to create a situation that maybe it's bureaucracy that is maybe derailing those innovative ideas. There are so many of those things, but the truth of the matter is that the universities are actually bedeviled by paucity of funds, such that it ends up looking as if it's bureaucracy that is stalling innovation within the university system. Thank you.
Professor Yinka Bancho, thank you very much, Bashir. Professor Yinka Bancho?
Yes, what I have to say is one major thing that can help in mitigating this problem of bureaucracy is I can give you an example of what's going on in the University of Lagos. When the time of COVID-19 came, the Vice Chancellor, who is kind of very open and relates with researchers, had to use his own money to create this ventilator for humans. So they were able to build one in the University of Lagos, which they sold to Lagos State government, and they bought it and were able to sponsor and take it as their own project. Another thing, like you said, bureaucracy is everywhere, but it depends on who is on top, is leading. And that's the only way that can help to mitigate it and reduce it to a minimal level. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to have the last talk. They have 1 more minute to be able to give their closing remarks. I'm going to call you, and then we'll be opening, I guess, for questions if we have time. Professor Muhammad Bashir Masood, give us 1 minute closing remarks.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you to everybody for being part of this panel discussion. I think the closing remark is, just like I said, there's so much windows of opportunities for AI development and deployment in Nigeria, but we need to be able to be focused on addressing some of those challenges that will hinder the effective deployment of AI. And just like we've naturally said, critical to this is how we are able to collect, and manage our data, and then we need the necessary resources, whether they are financial, infrastructural, or human, to be able to do this proper development and proper advocacy for AI in order to overcome those attitudinal and cultural inhibitions that can stand in the way of AI manifesting itself properly in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. Professor Temi Ayoronde.
Thank you, Professor Tony. I would like to say, still even make reference to Eduardo, what he said, that we have, our youths are very good in technology. I so much believe in that. So just like somebody has commented on our chat, that we need to involve not just only the government, but also businesses and private individuals to donate to universities in order for us to be able to incorporate AI into our value system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Professor Ozemekin Oboifo, University of Benin.
All right. I think that AI will bring about a positive transformation to the Nigerian economy if properly structured. The possibility of a 24/7 AI that assists businesses and the economy will ensure that everyone can dedicate their time to important tasks that matter. However, for this to be a reality, The populace needs to be properly educated about AI to, one, reduce the distrust, and then two, the bias against AI. And also we have to seriously take our data repository seriously. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Moifo. Professor Yinka Bango,
Yeah, thank you.
University of Lagos.
So thank you so much. I believe that the opportunities and also identify the challenges, if taken into consideration and putting heads together as a country, we are going to harness what we have as AI for value in Nigeria by concentrating on the main things that matter. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor. Professor Isaac Kadimula, University of Durham.
Thank you very much. One, I want to thank the organizers, but more importantly, we know that for the success of AI, we need collaborative work. We need collaboration. There's no way we can do it together. We need to build a sound data repository. And I want everybody to begin not to work as individuals again. Let us seek to work collectively. And in doing that, we can do a better future. We can build a better economy. We can build a better future for this nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for everybody. I think we're going to go back to the questions, but before we do that, let me close and thank everybody. Thank Kenneth in particular and to all the organizer. And I like a big round of applause for our professors here. They're very distinguished professors from our best Nigerian universities. Let's give them a hand. They did a wonderful job today. A wonderful job. Thank you very much, professors.
Thank you.
Ladies, I think you want to take it over now and close when you're ready. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody.
Bye.
Good to see you. Good seeing you, Kenneth. Great job.
Thank you so much,
ladies.
Prof.
You
Thank
were
you.
wonderful. You were wonderful.
Thank you, everybody.
Take good care. We'll see you
Thank
tomorrow.
you. It was wonderful.
All right.
See you,
Thank you,
Kenneth.
everybody. See you later.